G'day guys, how you going? Jimmy Bags here, and today we're having a geeze at Battlefield 1, more specifically just the beta, but I'm really keen for the main game to come out, and I'll be doing a playthrough of the single player on record for everyone. I hope you all enjoy that and want to see that. But for now, I'm just going to show you a few tips and tell you a few things about the war. When you want to avoid snipers, you never want to lay down flat. There was actually reports from the German snipers saying that the inexperienced Americans lay down and they'd easily just pick them off. So you just want to run erratically, not straight for cover, because they'll wait for you to run for cover. And circles do help. They look pretty silly, but they do actually help. I'll talk more about the sniping in another video, but it's really useful if you can run around and distract multiple snipers for your team, especially if you don't get hit, obviously. Like, if you get hit, it's not a good thing. But if you can distract a few snipers for your team, then they can move in and take them out. So, as you'll see when I run around here in a second, there's none of those snipers left that I had trouble with, and I can just clearly run straight across. Another sort of method you can use, or reason you can use this tactic, is just to close in on the sniper, which you'll see in the next video that I use with an SMG, the next clip I should say. Yeah, as you can see, there was absolutely no enemies there after there was quite a few beforehand. So here I come under heavy fire again by snipers, and erratic running while heading for cover without making it too obvious which cover I'm running for, as well as having an overall plan on running back towards the guy that's shooting at me, because obviously we're in rush this time, so we want to attack and move forward. I need to be quick about it. I can't just hold back and take my time, so run up on him, and once he's forgotten about me and I'm right on his flank, I can easily take him out, just like this. But yeah, the war was quite brutal, and a lot of the combat in the trenches meant that they evolved different weapons, because the bayonets weren't, well, ideal really. So they used sharpened spades and hatchets and pickaxes and specialised trench knives and clubs with things stuck in them. It was all quite harsh really. The Sinai Campaign basically lasted for most of the war. It extended into the Palestine Campaign. Remember, this is Battlefield, so there's still funny moments, which you'll see now while I'm talking about not so funny things. It started off with the defense of the Suez Canal, which was important in the Anzacs war efforts, obviously, because we couldn't reinforce our troops. If we couldn't get them through the canal there, it would have been a lot longer going all the way around Africa. And if they didn't manage to hold that point, we wouldn't have had anywhere for the troops at Gallipoli to actually fall back to, so that would have been quite bad. Most of them were retasked to offense once they did actually get pulled out of Gallipoli, and from that point they sort of retook Sinai and then moved into the Palestine Campaign. Most of the fighting was done with the mounted troops. Some of the brutality really shines through when you see the flamethrowers and the incendiary bombs, and you really feel sorry, and then the gas comes into it. About 50% of the combatants in World War I actually were casualties of some kind, and a large number of that would have been due to the gas, because it was only, don't quote me, but about 15% were actually killed and the rest were just wounded. And that's pretty horrible. There were three types of gas: chlorine gas, mustard gas, and phosphine gas. Phosphine gas was the most deadly, bringing about most of the actual deaths from gas, whereas mustard gas just caused some serious actual damage. But anyway, in the game, gas can be used to hide yourself while capturing objective, or to block enemies in positions, to help your team move up. As you'll see here, I blocked the whole street up with 2 grenades spaced out and then help my team push up, but we get caught up in the building up ahead and we get the gas turned back on us. It's really horrendous. I really was so immersed by this game, and it made me want to look into World War I a lot more. I knew a lot about it beforehand, but I've learned a lot more since. Right here we just got surrounded by gas while I was laying down covering fire, and I was running out of ammo, and we had somebody charge in the building and just managed to kill him. But yeah, sometimes the game gets pretty intense. And then this moment was probably one of the most brutal. There's gas absolutely everywhere, fire everywhere, people are getting shot. And there's one of my friends, teammates on the ground here, dead, burning in a gas-filled room. I'm getting shotgunned while reviving him. So the British built a railway through the Sinai Desert area to assist with the transport of the large amount of supplies and troops that they needed. No major battles occurred while they were building it, but the Anzac Mounted Division that was doing some aircon found 68 Ottoman soldiers half dead from thirst and gave them water and their horses and took them to our camp. So I mean, it was good in one sense. They helped them to live through the war. Over 600 horses and mules died from sickness every week as well. That was how intense it was. Yeah, the train can actually be destroyed, and I found that laying an ambush, I don't know if there's going to be the train on any other maps or something similar, but laying an ambush while sitting underneath the train here certainly helps you do a bit of damage. You need a teammate sort of supporting you with the support class to give you more ammo for everything. There's the train actually blowing up. So vehicles hadn't really been used for war before the start of this war, and they hadn't really been purposed for that either. Trains were probably the most advanced and easily fitted with armour and guns. It took a little while for them to actually start making tanks, for one. It took them, I think this was the 5th Mark 5 landship, yeah. So this was the 5th attempt. It took them 5 attempts to get something decent with just a basic tank. And then the heavy tank, which is the A7B, was a German tank, which there was only 20 actually made. So they were handy, but not good enough. The light tanks, which were French made, actually had quite a few thousand, and the British land ships had quite a few thousand in total made. The tank combat is quite fun. I do like how they've actually put it in. It certainly feels a lot more fair than the tank combat in previous Battlefield games. However, I feel the infantry really don't have enough they can do against tanks, so hopefully that gets fixed in the main game. The light tank has a lot more mobility. It's pretty handy to move around different targets, take out light vehicles and infantry, that if you come up against another actual tank, you're pretty screwed at that point. They've got a cannon, I can't remember what it's called, sorry. I can't remember the exact name. It's like a shot that's basically like a shotgun shot out of a cannon shell, which sounds pretty horrible, but it's pretty basic at the time. Speaking of basic, planes were very basic at the time as well. They were pretty thin and could quite easily be shot down. Some anti-aircraft cannons fitted to actual fighter planes were just 9mm even. Eventually they started to prove to be not enough, and they started to use higher calibers, but the planes were mainly used for bombing and reconnaissance. The fighters were just to protect the bombers, or the recon planes, or to harass any enemy bombers that came within range. Flamethrowers are something pretty new and only really used by the Germans, more so by the stormtroopers. I'll talk about that more so in one of the classes videos. It was a pretty good class. I feel that it's a little bit weak. You definitely need your teammates to support you. I don't know why, but you seem to get injured by the fire, which I don't know why a flamethrower troop wouldn't be wearing fireproof clothing. Definitely a lot of power in close range, and it has quite a bit of range on it as well, which you'll see just up here. Oh, a little bit further. I definitely like using it, but yeah, you definitely need your teammates to support you. It can certainly change the tide of a battle, but the Sentry class definitely does that more so. Before we get to the Sentry though, there's the anti-tank rifle, which is one of my favourites. I just love the feel of it completely, and the complete power. It takes anybody out in one shot. I don't know why, but it didn't really seem to do enough damage to planes. I thought that it would actually sort of destroy them and barely even hurt them. So it's an incredibly accurate gun, and it was one of the predecessors to the anti-material rifles, which you guys all know is the 50 caliber sniper rifles, more designed to take out engines of vehicles and other key things. Of course, by the end of the war, the tank armor was too thick for the anti-tank rifle to actually be of any use, but it could still sometimes penetrate the tank's armor and injure or kill crew inside. Oh, I feel sorry for that guy. It's definitely one of my favourite guns to use, but again, you need a teammate or a squad mate using a support class to give you ammo, because it pretty quickly runs out, especially if you waste the shots like I was, or try and shoot down planes. I still think that those planes should have taken a lot more damage from all that. They were pretty damn weak back in the day. That cavalry guy got off pretty lucky there. He wasn't too lucky this time around though. Yeah, the last class was the Sentry class, which I feel so sorry for this guy. I just reached in time, and it gives you full armor plating, and he's had no chance. But yeah. The Sentry class really is one of the classes that you can have the most impact in the game on. When I picked it up, my team was losing, and we sort of steadily grew from there. It wasn't just me, but with my assistance, our team sort of all worked together and pushed. Again, it was a team effort, but the Sentry class certainly helped. The Sentry class is based on the early iteration of the Stormtroopers, which I'll talk about later. They had armor plating, and the machine gun, or the MG, that was pre-World War I, and it was one of the, well, it was the German machine gun that led to all their machine guns from then on out. There were other machine guns from other nations at the point. I found the best thing to do with the Sentry class was to just run straight at the enemies, because they couldn't really do enough damage, and the suppressive fire that you laid down just stop them from being able to respond. The Sentry class is just really good at attacking or defending any points. My first impression was that the gameplay was all a little bit too fast. I've got some of this all sped up as well, sorry if I didn't mention that earlier. But yeah, some of the gameplay just feels a bit faster than you would think for World War I. But when I actually started to research it a little bit, more so than I had before, I realised that towards the end of the war there were quite a lot of automatic weapons. At the start it was not so much. And most of the automatic weapons were used in a more defensive manner. It wasn't until later on that they actually started using them defensively. Again, a machine gun of this size could never really be carried by somebody, and the barrel would wear out and have to be changed. These machine guns would be operated with teams of like 4 to 8 men, most likely. All in all though, I'm quite impressed with the actual game and how they've managed to portray World War I. I was always looking forward to a World War I game, and it's finally actually here, so I just excited. I don't even know what to say. World at War was one of my favourite Call of Duty games, and I've always wanted a World War One game that I didn't really know if they'd be able to actually do, and from the looks of this so far, they've managed to pull off quite a good game, and the single player is going to be just absolutely amazing. Anyway, hope you guys had a good one and enjoyed yourselves, learned something. I'll see you when I see ya.